May have heard wind of this morning about a new political party establishing itself in time for the state election next year. This party is going to be called the Victorians Party. That's with an S on the end of it. And it's already got 3 key founding members. It's hoping to stand candidates in every seat across the state and would preference parties on a seat-by-seat basis. Now, that's a lot of work. Bill Lang is Executive Director of Small Business Australia, and he's a founding member of the Victorians Party. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
Why did you decide to start this party?
Look, for over the last 12 months or so, Virginia, we've been speaking with thousands of small business families and their employees that are just very disillusioned and concerned about what's been happening in the state, in politics, and feel that no one has been listening to them. They've been, signing in their tens of thousands petitions, not seeing health advice, not understanding why Victoria's performing, more poorly compared to New South Wales on pandemic management. And they said, look, we need someone speaking for us and having a seat at the table with respect to the way the state is run. So with a group of other concerned citizens, we've been looking at what's involved in getting a party started, what's involved in being a candidate, what sort of experience do people think candidates should have, and that has led to the formation of the Victorians Party.
I think what you described there is what the opposition in the state would say that they've been trying to do. So you say that they haven't been fulfilling their role either?
Well, I think it's an interesting use of language. They're using the word try, because try is a word that many people use that sort of prefaces failure. Sadly, we have a two-party system. People join these parties as young people when they're at university, young Liberals and young Labor, and then we look at their actual life experience before they become elected representatives of the people that they're supposed to be representing. And it turns out they end up representing their party and the interests of those parties. And we're seeing in the Corruption Commission, we're seeing other issues across party lines with respect to the way things get operate. We're seeing people that can't remember who made decisions they can't recall. There are millions of Victorians, Virginia, just shaking their heads about this. People are looking for experienced people that live in their local communities that will understand their priorities and represent them in Parliament.
So this is basically a pox on both their houses situation that you're starting with the Victorians Party. You're saying that both the major parties, include 3 in there, if you like, with the coalition, are failing Victorians.
Look, I wouldn't use, that letter P word that you've used, but very much I think we need a real choice. We've had this duopoly effectively for all these years. It's an insider's game. The politicians got pay rises, Virginia. Hundreds of thousands of small business families in Victoria have dipped into superannuation. Some have closed down their businesses for good.
I'll just jump in there. Of course, that the parents don't elect that themselves. That's done by an external tribunal. I mean, they don't pay themselves. They don't organise the pay rises.
That is absolutely magnificent positioning there, Virginia, because who's appointed to the tribunals? Public servants. Why don't we have citizens' committees making those sorts of decisions? We trust citizens in a murder trial to determine whether someone is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Let's have the people get involved in these decisions rather than the so-called independent tribunals that are full of public servants.
Are you going to take the advice of, say, the controversial preference whisperer Glenn Drury in order to sort out preferences and the like, or to figure out how you're going to try and be successful across the board by trying to stand candidates in every seat?
Look, I wouldn't think so. Like mathematics, even though we've got issues with the quality of our education system, you don't need to be a rocket science to work out how the preferencing system works. And, we're sick of all these people behind the scenes that are doing backroom deals and all the rest, just like what's been happening with these so-called free independents with the pandemic bill. We need transparency. Let's get it all out in the open. Virginia, if 1 in 5 Victorians vote 1 for the Victorians Party, that'll be at least 8 people out of 40 in the upper house in Victoria. Sensible, experienced citizens getting involved in the leadership and management of this state.
I think the people of Victoria will have to decide whether they're sensible, experienced people, because you've got to go and select and vet a whole lot of people. Do you really think you can stand in every single seat? Will you be standing in one of the seats?
Look, we will absolutely be able to stand in every seat because there are people involved in local government. They've been small business owners. They've run local community groups. They've been ignored by other parties when they've been involved with other parties. So we'll absolutely be able to run sense. Well, of course, the people will decide, and based on full information as opposed to what they get sourced up to them at the moment.
Bill, I look forward to spending more time with you and asking a few more questions in the lead up to the election. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Virginia.
Bill Lang, Executive